You and Chris are going to be in here talking about God knows what.
I'm dancing. Chris is doing other stuff, but I'm dancing. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Retro Show. What is the Retro Show, you may ask? You may be a first-timer.
We're still trying to figure that out.
We don't know from day to day. Basically what it is we're two guys born in the 60s, raised in the 70s and 80s, and we talk about growing up in the 70s and 80s and all of the cool stuff that
together.
That yes, we did. We've known each other since. See, I think we moved there in '76. So ever since then,
I was 9.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been a while.
Yep.
Playing Spotlight.
Riding three-wheelers.
Fishing.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, just stuff boys do. Building forts.
Building ramps.
Now, when we tell you building forts, we're not talking about this sissy stuff in the house with blankets and stuff like that. No. We were digging out tunnels out of honeysuckle thickets.
Yes, I remember that over there
by Kyle Kelly's house.
Yes,
that was bad to the bone, dude.
We had a nice little clearing out there.
Yep.
We did more yard work than we would have ever done on purpose.
It was just the tunnels and the rooms that we built out of the honeysuckle thicket. I mean,
we probably walked over 17,000 copperheads while we were doing that, and probably picked off a few ticks in the process. But we had fun doing it.
Let's get this podcast.
Let's get it started. Let's get it started.
Yeah,
and now we're going. Baby. But the Retro Show, you can join in with us online at retroshow.net. Now, Chris, what can they find at retroshow.net?
They can find information about where to hear the podcast.
Yes.
How to become a producer for the podcast.
Important.
For a mere $3 a month, people.
$3 a month.
You can't buy a can of sardines for $3. Come on now.
I know. Listen, do you remember back in the day?
And some very incriminating pictures from when we were younger.
Yes. A couple. Do you remember on the back of comic books when they had the sea monkeys?
Yes.
And you would.
I never ordered the sea monkeys.
But you thought it's like, well, that's cool.
That is cool.
You can have a civilization apparently that you would do, but it was not like that.
Butch knows this, and I collect. I used to collect them pretty heavy comics, comic books. I've still got my collection, but I don't really collect them anymore because they've gone crazy. But one of my favorite comics that came out in late August, 1st of September, was the Saturday morning lineup.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? It would be like what was coming out on Saturday mornings. They would put that in the comics.
Yes.
And you knew you'd start picking out. Well, I'm going
to watch that show.
This and this show.
Do you remember every network, like the Friday before they would kick off? It'd be September. Mm-hmm. The Friday night. They would have a preview of all their Saturday morning stuff.
I don't remember that, but I'm sure it happened.
It did, and I remember watching those, and they'd have a little preview of everything coming up, and that was appointment TV. As much as primetime stuff that I would watch, that was
that and in November or October, you would get the J.C. Penney.
Yes.
Sears catalogs.
You
would start circling stuff. What you wanted, number one. This is what I want.
I want the Hot Wheels.
I want the G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu grip.
G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu grip. I had that.
I did too.
I had the G.I. Joe.
I had the $6 Million Man.
Oh yeah.
Doll too.
Did you ever have any Big Jim? Big Jim.
No, I don't think.
Big Jim was another one of those action figures. They didn't call them dolls. No, they were action figures.
But they were as big as the Barbies. They were.
Yeah.
I mean, they
were bigger than the Barbies.
They were boys' Barbie dolls, but it was military stuff and action figures, and it was cool.
It was fun, man. That and the Evel Knievel cycle.
That deadgum thing, man. That was probably the.
That was
the number one toy.
That was number one, and the SSTs. That they had the little rip cord, and you would rip, and they would go to. That was another.
Inevitably, you would have your finger too close to that wheel when you'd rip that cord out. You'd only do it once.
Yes. Ow.
Yeah, and then you had a rubber burn on your finger.
Yes, you
from
would.
Your tire.
But folks, retroshow.net, getting back around to that, we actually have a button on there where they can call us now, and you can leave up to a 3-minute voicemail if you want to tell us an interesting story or just say hi.
Yep. We're okay with that.
Say hi. And on your mobile phone, when you go to our website now, they actually have a call button down there that you can click it and it'll automatically call.
Really?
Yeah, they don't even have to know the number, Chris. They just go to retroshow.net and they can call us.
Technology is just fine.
I know. We really need to pay our web guy more. We should.
Is that right?
We should. We should pay our web guy a lot more.
Is that
That's right. So
somebody's getting a raise.
Somebody's going to get a raise. But folks, listen, we're so glad to have you today. Today, talking about one of the iconic movie series that came out during the 70s and continued through even the 2000s. Okay. We're talking about the Rocky series today. Yep. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about, Chris, kind of give a description of each movie, and then we're going to go through, and you and I are going to give our top, at the end, our top, our ordering of our favorite Rocky movies.
Sounds good.
So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break right now.
We're not going to do any rabbit holes today. I'm just telling you, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are. We're going to be back in a little bit, and we'll be back to talk about Sylvester Stallone and Rocky. That's a terrible impression.
That was.
Hey, Chris, guess what?
What?
We got producers. Did you know that?
I know we got producers.
Yeah, these fantastic, lovely individuals have decided that they're going to support the podcast by committing to $3 a month. I mean, come on, man. You're not even going to miss $3, man.
You can't even buy a bubble gum for $3.
You can't. You get that cheap, nasty kind. You know what I mean? It's really, it's not,
flavor's gone in about 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's not even the good bubble gum. But anyway, folks, here are the people that we have that support us. Brand new to our list is Kevin Goff.
Mr. Goff, thank you very much.
Yeah, and then LNC Corporation.
You don't mess with LNC.
You do not cross the LNC Corporation. Norton. And Chris B. Thank you, Chris B. Nancy Schwartz.
Yeah.
Who else is on there?
Nancy Schwartz.
Who else is on the list, man?
Josh Ramsey.
Thank you, Josh. Yeah. Fran Adams.
E.M.
And
Bradford the Behemoth Mason.
Well, Behemoth Beast, kind of the same thing.
It's not.
Oh, okay. And of course, our original sponsor, our original producer.
Number one in our hearts.
Tanya Highland.
Hey
guys, you can go to retroshow.net, click support the podcast, and find out how you can be one of our fine producers.
Butch, what's this Van Halen symbol doing on this?
It's pretty. Okay, folks, back on the Retro Show, and today's topic is we're ranking the Rocky movies, okay, from our, where we're going to start, probably from the bottom and work our way up. But first of all, I think if someone out there has not seen the Rocky movies, then why are you listening to this podcast? But we're going to go through and we're going to talk about the different Rocky movies. And the first one came out, Chris, in 1976. Sylvester Stallone wrote this thing. Mm-hmm. And pitched it to the studios. And at first, they wanted someone else to actually act in it. And he said, nope, that's a deal breaker.
Yep.
I'm doing it.
Yep, it's either me or none.
Yep, it's me or none.
I do remember that.
And so what's really cool is I watched some commentary on it, and there was a scene in there where he had with Adrian in his apartment where he has to do this, like, minute-and-a-half soliloquy. That's another $5 word right there. I mean, dude. But he had to talk a lot. He had to talk a bunch at one time. Okay, there you go.
Break it down.
And so, and they were like, it's literally like one of the last scenes they were filming, but they didn't. They were basically out of money, and they only had so much film left. And this is back when they weren't videotaping; they were shooting on film, and they had a limited amount of film left. And so he had to get this in one take, and he nailed it. And so the first Rocky movie, this is so basically Sylvester Stallone plays Rocky Balboa.
That sounds really like a feat.
Yeah.
But he wrote it.
He wrote it.
So if he wrote it,
you would think he would know it. Honestly, maybe I'm giving him too much credit. He should have this. But the first Rocky movie, you know, the basic premise is that he is this down and out fighter. Carl Weathers plays Apollo Creed.
He's basically he's strong arming for a local mob boss.
Yes, and he fights on the weekends. Yep. But basically, his full time job, he's a mob enforcer and collector. Right. And so he gets a shot because he's just like this club fighter. He's fighting on the weekends. He's what they call a pug. You know, he's not
a great fighter.
He's not a great fighter by any stretch. He's just a pug.
And he's southpaw.
Yeah, and he's left-handed. He's a left-handed fighter. Well, Carl Weathers plays Apollo Creed, who I guarantee you is based on Muhammad Ali.
It's got to be.
He was. If you look at his mannerisms, that was really based on kind of the whole Muhammad Ali. I'm the greatest in the world. And so you have Apollo Creed's going to give some nobody a shot just to kind of as a publicity stunt.
It was he saw him. He did something. I can't remember.
Yeah.
He did something, and Apollo Creed was like in his pool watching him. He's like, I want to fight this guy. And I can't remember why.
But anyway, the whole thing of the movie is that Rocky just wants to go the distance with this guy. He doesn't want to go down in the first round. And so his way of winning this is, and he doesn't win the fight in the first movie. He gets
it. Way to give it away and spoil it for everybody else.
Yeah, well, we're just going to do that. We're just going to spoil the whole thing because we're going through all of these movies here. But, the whole premise is that how he wins is he goes the distance.
Yep.
And so that's the first Rocky movie. So Rocky 2, because this was it was a huge movie in 76 when this came out. So in 79, they released Rocky 2. And the whole premise of this is it actually picks up right where
literally the end of the fight.
The end of the fight. They're both taken to the hospital. And it was a really cool scene between Sylvester Stallone and Carl Weathers, or Rocky and Balboa. He goes to Apollo's room, and they're both in the hospital. They've just beat each other to a pulp. And he says, "Did you give me your best?" And Apollo says, "Yes." And that's what he needed to hear. And so
he was very humble. The character's very humble.
Yes, the character's very humble.
Not intelligent.
Not the sharpest tool in the shed by any stretch. Although
heart.
As time goes on, you notice in the movies he starts to educate himself. He starts to read more.
Yep.
And
Adrian's helping him learn how to read.
And Adrian, who I love that character.
I do too.
I love that character. She's the heart of those first movies. And so in Rocky 2, he gets a rematch with Apollo. And against all odds, he wins at the end. And so that's what, that's why Rocky 2 was made, is that, man, we really want Rocky to win, So, and that was my introduction to Rocky. I didn't see the first one because I was like, I don't know why in 76. Maybe I was, I was 10 years old. Maybe I wasn't just that interested.
Chuck Norris was playing in Breaker in 72.
Exactly. or whatever was playing at the time.
That's what was playing.
Oh, it was? Oh, okay.
So my parents went to see Rocky with some friends, and me and another friend went and saw Chuck Norris Breaker. It was over before Rocky was over.
So you were out waiting.
We slipped in and watched the tail end of Rocky,
which is great.
And then I went back the next weekend and watched the whole
thing.
Yeah.
See, I had not seen Rocky, and so, but it was okay. You didn't have to see Rocky to watch Rocky 2 because it started with the end of the fight,
right?
And the other one, so you kind of knew what was happening there. So in 1982, they said we
got a cash cow.
We got a cash cow here. So Rocky 3 comes out, and this was so Rocky is successful now, and he's actually friends now, or not yet friends with Carl Weathers, but he will be. So Rocky is kind of he's slacking off a little on his training, okay? And there's a hungry fighter by the name of Clubber Lang, played great by Mr. T, who had no act. Which, by the way, Chris used to do a spot on Mr. T.
It's
back
got
in
a
the
little
day.
lag.
It's
got a little lag, but
I know.
I just hadn't heard him in a while. So.
But yeah, so here's the fight. And so the first fight that he goes in, he gets not only just the floor mopped by Mr. T.
He had a lot going on there, though.
Yeah, but then his trainer, Burgess Meredith, which, by the way, we haven't mentioned yet, Mickey.
Great.
In the first
3 movies, he's great.
And so in the third movie, he doesn't even want Rocky to fight this guy.
He's been giving him has-beens.
Yeah.
He's been protecting the
He's been protecting.
Because Mr. T sees him out in the crowd in one of his fights, and he's like, hey, old man, you tell Balboa, I want Balboa, I want Balboa.
Yeah.
He just keeps on, and Mick just walks out.
Yeah, he said, you're not getting a shot, is what he told him. You're not getting no shot.
Yep.
But Mick, the character of Mick, y'all, I loved Burgess Meredith in this role. The only other role that I loved Burgess Meredith as much in was in Grumpy Old Men, which is another great movie. But yeah,
there's some great one-liners from Burgess Meredith.
the outtakes of Burgess Meredith in that movie are just insanely funny. But in any of the Grumpy Old Men movies he was in, but the role of Mickey, he was so good in that role, and so. Spoiler alert, in Rocky 3, Mickey dies.
He dies at the
kind
fight.
of the beginning.
He dies at the fight.
Yeah.
I mean, he goes
the first
down
fight. Yeah.
between him and Clubber. And then but he had already asked him, he said, well, I want to fight this guy. And he's like, no. And he's like, why won't you let me fight him? He said, this guy is a wrecking machine.
Yeah.
And he's hungry. He'll knock you in tomorrow. You ain't been
hungry since you won that fight for the Apollo.
He'll knock you in tomorrow, Rock.
He'll knock you in tomorrow, Rock.
And he does.
He does. And he beats him because Mick knows that Rock's been slacking off. He's not training like he used to.
No, he's driving a Lamborghini.
and he just doesn't have the fire like he used to. Yeah. Okay, so at this point, I just want to stop here and talk about the character of Paulie, which has always been my least favorite character. I don't like, but he's like anything that ever happened bad's Paulie's fault. Paulie's just an idiot, and it's like
that's
I just
Adrian's brother.
Yeah, it's Adrian's brother Paulie on there, and so Paulie's an idiot. I just don't like Paulie. But
he played a very good role in Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield.
Yes, he did. That was fantastic. And John, what was that? Rodney
Dangerfield.
Yeah.
You got a problem?
I was thinking.
No, I don't have a problem. Now you do.
Now you do. So Rocky 3, he ends up rematch, and so Apollo comes in after Mick dies.
Yes.
He takes over.
Training him differently than he's ever been trained.
And so it's really a great movie because this is the part where you see that there is a mutual respect between these two fighters.
Yep.
And
so he changed him from a southpaw to a righty.
Yes,
that was the major change.
That was the major change, and how he trained, and it was a lot more refined and just a different way of training that put him into made him a different fighter. So when he went back and he fought Clubber Lang again, he could win.
Yep. And
he does, and it's a great fight scene. It's one of the best choreographed scenes that I think in the entire series. In Rocky 3. Next, 1985, Rocky 4, which is when Rocky fights the Cold War and basically wins the Cold War for the United States.
Rocky fights Russia and wins.
Rocky fights Russia and wins. Is it a little cringeworthy today? Yes. But, man, in the 80s, it was a perfect movie. It pushed all the right buttons. You got to realize when this came out.
The wall was still up.
The wall was up. We were in the midst of a Cold War with the Soviet Union. And so the basic premise of Rocky IV is you have this super fighter. It's basically just roided to the max.
Yep.
Played by Dolph Lundgren, which, by the way, I want to go ahead and say that if you ever look at Dolph Lundgren, this guy is not just some idiot that they bought to play. This guy, he has like a doctorate.
Yeah.
And so he's like a chemical engineer, smart guy.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, what? And so, but he's like really smart.
Naught plus naught equals naught.
I'm going to be a double naught spy, Granny. Or a short order cook. But Dolph Lundgren plays this big Russian wrecking machine, supposed to be like
and his girlfriend is Bridget Nielsen.
Yeah, who Sylvester Stallone married actually in real life.
6 foot woman and a 5'6" guy. I can't figure it out. But anyway,
I can't figure it out. The math don't add up. Something like that. But anyway, yes, in Rocky IV, basically, Rocky wins the Cold War by going to... So let's go set this up. So, it starts out, Rocky is living he's living the good life. He's beat Clubber Lang. He's got a lot of money. Him and Apollo are spending weekends together in the Hamptons with their families, and they're having this fantastic time. Rocky has a robot. Trust me, you just got to see the movie. And so...
I forgot about the robot.
Yeah, the robot. And so... this Russian's coming over here, and he's mouthing off about, nobody can beat me and stuff. Well, Apollo takes offense to that and says, And so he puts on the red, white, and blue trunks, and he goes to fight this guy in an exhibition match with Rocky training him.
And you get James Brown.
Living
in America.
Living in America. You're welcome. But anyway, back to Rocky IV. So it's an exhibition fight, and it's supposed to just be an exhibition fight.
That's right.
So you got Apollo coming out. He's got the big red, white, and blue everything.
Top hat.
Yeah, the top hat. I think they're fighting in Vegas. It's pure Vegas glitz. And basically, Dolph Lundgren ain't heard of no agreement about any kind of exhibition, and basically kills him in the ring.
He does.
Kills him graveyard dead.
Yep. That's
Rocky,
a Jerry Clower term right there.
Yeah, graveyard dead. And so, Rocky's his trainer. He sees this happen. And so he has this eyeball moment with, Dolph Lundgren. And what was his character's name? Ivan Drago.
That's it.
Ivan Drago. So Ivan Drago and him have this eyeball moment. And so part 2 of the movie takes place where Rocky goes to Russia. He trains in Siberia. He runs through the snow.
Totally different again.
He
chopping wood.
He's bearded.
Yeah.
He chops wood. He lifts heavy things, and that trains him to go and fight. And somehow, against all odds, through the power of America and heart, he beats Ivan Drago in the ring.
Yeah, but and he pulls the Russians to him.
Yeah,
all the crowds, just like in the rest of the movies, Rocky.
Yeah, by the end he wins them over.
Yep.
And so that's how Rocky IV ends. Now Rocky V picks up right at the end, and he's in the showers after he beats Ivan Drago, but something's wrong. He's neurologically had his brains scrambled like eggs because he's been beat so many times. The doctors say he's got concussions. He can't fight again ever. So enter the fact that they go home, and Paulie, remember I said I don't like Paulie? That rat. What he did is he signs everything over to this guy to invest the stuff, and he loses everything. He comes back home, and they are flat broke.
Yep.
He ain't got no money. They have to sell everything that they've got. Ends up moving back to the old neighborhood in Philadelphia where everything started.
They're eating beets and sardines. Anyway,
where they're eating beets and sardines. Well, maybe not that bad. And they're Italian. I guarantee you they're eating better than that. So they move back to Philadelphia, and this young fighter played by Tommy Morrison, who was actually a fighter at the time. Yep. He comes in and acts in this movie. Actually, not a bad role. But he comes in, and Rocky trains him, but then he's got this guy that was, I guarantee you, based on Don King.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Based on Don King. And I can't think of that guy's name, but he was a great character actor. He may have even been in Harlem Nights. I can't remember his name, but I can see him and I can hear him say, but he was based on Don King, the promoter. Because at the time this came out, Mike Tyson was huge.
Yes.
And so this was very much the Don King type character that starts getting in his kid's ear.
Yep.
And so after Rocky trains him and gets him to a heavyweight fight, he turns on Rocky.
Yep.
And, Rocky's just going to take it. He's going home. And so at the very end, basically, this kid knows that to prove himself, he has to beat Rocky. And everybody said no. And so he finally gets Rocky to come out and fight. And it's not in a ring. It's in the streets.
Yep.
And so it's a big street brawl at the end. And Rocky, of course, just,
annihilates him because he was a mafia enforcer.
Yeah, because he was a mafia enforcer. He knows how to really fight. And so, he finally beats this kid at the end. And so that's how that ends. And so for years, from 1990 when Rocky V came out until Rocky Balboa came out in 2006, you didn't have a Rocky movie. Okay.
That's 11 years.
And so the Rocky Balboa movie, and I'm going off memory here, and I may be off, but basically it starts off with this kid named Mason Dixon. And he is a fighter, a young fighter. And he is watching someone played like a PlayStation 2 game that had like Rocky Balboa. You could pick like a fighters from different eras. And he got Rocky Balboa to fight his character that was in this game. And Rocky Balboa beats him. He's like, so he said, well, why don't we do a match with me against this old guy, you know? And so, you know, at this point, you know, Sylvester Stallone's no spring chicken at this point. So, you know, in 2006, he's got to be in his late 50s, early 60s.
Yep. At
and
least.
so, yeah. So
I don't know how he is today.
I don't know, but
He's in his 70s.
he is. But have you seen Tulsa King?
Yes.
By the way, great
It's
show.
awesome.
But folks, go watch Tulsa King.
Yeah.
It's on Hulu. Get you a subscription long enough to watch Tulsa King, and
It's
then
on Paramount Plus.
oh, it's on Paramount Plus, not Hulu.
It's
okay.
a Paramount Plus show.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Great show. But get Hulu anyway if you want to. It's got a lot of good stuff. But anyway, yeah, Paramount Plus, Tulsa King, Stallone is great in that role.
It's a Tony Sheridan show who
Yeah.
made Yellowstone.
Yes, Tyler Sheridan. Tyler Sheridan.
He's
yeah.
got another one that me and Cindy just watched that I will recommend to y'all, Lioness.
I saw the ads for that. And I was
It is
thinking,
awesome.
Really good?
Yes.
Okay. I love
Very
Tyler
good.
Sheridan stuff, so
Yeah.
I probably
Really
won't
good.
like that.
Hey, there's a rabbit hole for you guys.
Yeah, rabbit hole. So back to Rocky Balboa, 2006. So this guy, Mason Dixon, he challenges Rocky to a fight. And Rocky said, I don't know, man. I've been out of it a while. But, you know, Rocky's kind of down on his luck. He's estranged. Adrian has died.
Yeah.
You know, Mick's gone. Everybody he's ever, you know, he's estranged from his son.
Apollo's dead.
Apollo's dead. His son and him are not really getting along great. So he ends up getting trained by Apollo's old trainer, who was all the way back to the first movie. I can't think of that guy's name.
Bald-headed dude.
The bald-headed dude. But he comes in, and he trains Rocky up. And basically, the showdown is, and I'm going to be honest with you, I can't remember at this point if Rocky actually wins at the end or not.
Yep.
But it was a good movie. I mean, you know, it was a good, to me, ending of the Rocky movie. Now, we talked about this before the show. I'm just going to let you guys know we're not including the Creed movies because at this point in the Creed movies, Rocky is a side character.
Yeah.
It's not about him anymore. A large part of the story is him in there, but it's not. He's not the main character. So we're not including the Creed movies in this list here.
But that does carry on the Rocky.
It does carry on kind of the Rocky
the other
storyline.
side because it's Apollo's son
Yeah.
that's fighting. It's Creed.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I do like the first. I haven't seen the third one
I
yet.
haven't seen any of them.
I really enjoyed the first two. I have not seen the third one yet.
And as a movie buff, you
Yeah.
know, we're going to rank these in a minute, and
Yeah.
I'm going to have some explanation on this.
Yeah. But anyway, Chris, let's go ahead and let's get started with what is your number 6 lowest ranked Rocky movie?
Balboa.
Rocky Balboa 2006.
Yeah, because
Uh-huh.
I've never seen it.
You've never seen it?
I just
Yeah.
I was done after, you know.
Rocky 5?
Yeah, it was kind of
Yeah.
done for me at that point. And in 2006, my daughter was born.
Right.
My son's 2.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Oh, listen, I get it. It's all, yeah.
Yeah, it's all freaking Teletubbies.
Yeah, Teletubbies and the Wiggles and
Yeah,
whatever
all that
else is
shit.
on. You know, it's whatever was on at the time. I remember when my sons were younger, it was either Teletubbies or Barney. Barney. Oh,
I steered
Man.
him away from Barney and wouldn't let him watch SpongeBob.
SpongeBob. Oh, okay.
No. Absolutely not. I watched it a couple of times and it was just like, there's too much adult overtones in this.
Yeah.
It's not for a kid.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's kind of like Ren and Stimpy, man. You
Yes,
wouldn't let
and
them
that-
watch Ren and
Hell
Stimpy.
no.
Yeah. But, and so.
You have any Rubber Whoppers covers?
Call the police. I used to love Ren and Stimpy.
I did
back
too,
in the
man.
day.
I'd watch it.
So your number 6 is Rocky Balboa. What's your number 5?
Number 5 is Rocky 5.
Rocky 5. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
At number 4, I got Rocky 3.
Mhm.
It's literally absolutely one of my favorites, but I have some disclaimers on 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why it's sitting at number 4. Number 3 is Rocky 4.
Yeah.
I mean, we're fighting Russia. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, that was actually really, really a cool Rocky movie.
Yeah, it was.
They are all good.
Yeah, they're all good.
Up to Rocky 5 and when I was done. But Rocky 4, it resonated with a lot of people at that time.
It did. It really did.
But then it goes in order. Rocky 2 is a continuation, basically, of Rocky.
And that's number
2.
Number 2.
And then number 1 is Rocky, the original Rocky.
The original Rocky.
That movie was kind of groundbreaking.
It was.
And so much emotion around that. I mean, to this day.
Yeah.
You turn the theme to Rocky on, dun, 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 dun,
yep.
and you just you perk up.
You perk up. You're ready to go.
We need to go run.
We need to go. I need to put on some gray sweats and go run.
Yes.
You know,
wrap some towels around my hand and look like
drink raw eggs.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah, true story.
True story. Okay, so here's
you can catch this. You'll be grease lightning.
Yeah, that was in 2 when he chased the chicken.
Was it?
Yep.
I thought that was in 1.
Nope. So here are my list right here. So mine actually starts off with Rocky 5. I think it's the weakest out of the series. Now, you haven't seen Rocky Balboa yet, so I actually think Rocky 5 is the weakest.
Well, that's why it was in my number 6, because I haven't seen it.
Because I didn't like that he lost everything after all of that. I didn't like that he had the brain damage, because Rocky's tough, man. He should be able to come, but no. He kind of lost everything. He had to go back, to where which I understand, plot wise why you do it. It's a story, but it was my least favorite out of all the Rocky movies. At number 5, Rocky Balboa, that came out in 2006. I still think it's a solid movie. I don't know, it just didn't hit on all. It had some really cool things that it picked up on later on in life. Things didn't always go great for him or anything like that, but he still kind of kept going. I liked it. It's just not my favorite. My number 4 is Rocky 4 on that one. And they don't go in order after here. The 4 is only when it lines up with
the number.
with the number. I loved it. I still loved it. I'll watch it today.
Right.
If
we're fighting Russia.
Yeah, because we're fighting Russia. And beat them commies.
That's right.
And number 3, Rocky 1. And the only reason is because my top 3, to me, those first 3 movies are just
They're all neck and neck.
They're all solid. They all interconnect. Listen, pure movie-wise, it's Academy Award stuff. It is the best movie out of all of them. But I just didn't like that he lost. But I understand why. I understand that him winning in that first movie was just going the distance.
Right.
But my number 2 is Rocky 3. Okay? I love that movie. And it was really hard for me to go between the 2 and 3 on this one, because I love them equally. But I had to go with my number 1 being Rocky 2, simply because it was my introduction to going to the theater to see
and you have a different outlook. It's all subjective.
Yeah, but I love them all.
I do too. And like I said, Rocky 3, honestly and truthfully, is probably my favorite out of all of them.
Yeah.
But the first one I ever saw was Rocky, and it started everything. Yeah. It started the story.
It launched him into the career he has now.
Yes, and then, of course, he bounces right in there with Rambo 1, 2, and 3.
Rambo 1, 2, 3. He had Cobra in the 80s. Yeah. He did
First Blood. First Blood was
the First Blood.
Which started Rambo.
Out of all the Rambo movies,
that's the best one.
First Blood's the best one.
I don't know, man. When he blows that
helicopter up with a.
Well, not only that, he blows up that dude with the exploding arrow.
Yeah, that's believable.
It is.
But yeah,
awesome.
But yeah, Sylvester Stallone in the 80s. It was between him and Schwarzenegger.
It was. And Arnold was huge.
And Arnold was very huge. Get to the chopper now.
Yeah. And what? So real quick, because I love Schwarzenegger. I always have. Being in the gym in my teenage years and in the college years, Arnold was the peak.
Oh yeah.
For me. I mean,
he
was like a guy, and I've shaken hands, shook hands, shaken, not stirred. That was classic. Lee Haney. I met Lee.
Yeah.
Haney,
Oh wow.
He's a big individual, but it's still in all, man. I would have been like speechless if I would have shook hands with Arnold. I mean, even today, but at that time when
he was so big.
Oh
yeah, because he was Conan.
He was Conan, and that was my comic.
Yeah,
but he was
Conan was awesome. Man.
It was, and that first movie. We're off on a rabbit hole again, guys. I'm sorry, we're off on another movie, but that first Conan movie was awesome.
What is the riddle of steel? Yeah.
Yes, you know it, don't you, boy? I can't do James Earl Jones.
Well, who can? You know.
But the Destroyer, Conan the Destroyer. Oh my God, just why?
I know.
Why did you do it?
You had such a the first movie was so good, and the second one was just like, eh.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
We're talking Rocky, and now I'm off on Conan.
And now we're off on Conan, and not Conan O'Brien, who I don't know how he gets his hair to do that, but it does. But anyway, folks, that is our listing of Rocky movies, and and if you agree with us, that's great. If you don't, then that's also great. You can go to retroshow.net.
If you haven't seen them, please feel free to watch them.
Yep. Watch them and let us know what you think.
Yeah, they're great.
Listen, thanks for listening, guys. We love all of you. I like some of you.
AMF, guys.